Okay, so it seems we have a new director for the Transformers live action universe, and another Transformers movie will soon be on the way. Now if you've not been keeping up to date with Transformers movie news, it's been quite some time since I made a video on anything Transformers related, as there hasn't really been too much to talk about. But where we left things, before the pandemic, before any recounts or political votes, or any other chaos for that matter, there were two Transformers scripts in the works. One, and this is in no particular order, was for the continuation of the Bumblebee universe, and two for an entirely new take on Transformers on the big screen, introducing Transformers Beast Wars. Now those two scripts were being written by James Vanderbilt and Joby Harold, in which it now appears that Harold's script has been chosen and will be the next instalment in the Transformers franchise. Joby Harold was working on the continuation of the Bumblebee universe, which was originally written by Christina Hodson, who did a fantastic job with the first movie, and it raises the question as to why Hodson is not returning, but we'll talk about that more later on. So with the script being finalised and chosen, Paramount after a lengthy search have found a director for the untitled Bumblebee instalment, which is penciled in for 2022, and that director is Stephen Caple Jr. Caple Jr. is mostly known for his efforts with Creed 2, which I enjoyed, but I didn't think it was as good as the first, which he didn't direct. And that could raise questions about him being chosen for our beloved Transformers. But the bigger question is, where is Travis Knight, the director of the first Bumblebee movie, which received critical success and a 91% approval rating on Rotten Tomato when working with Christina Hodson. It now seems they've both been passed over. Why? Now with all due respect to Caple Jr., and before we speak about him and if he is the right successor to take forward the Bumblebee universe, I'm sure many of you are thinking what I am. Why isn't Travis Knight and Christina Hodson returning? I raised this question on one of Alex Yu's videos after the detail of Caple Jr. came out, and many responses were that Knight wants to currently focus on animation projects instead of live action, but looking into Knight's current work, that's not the case. Travis Knight's next movie is in pre-production, featuring Mark Wahlberg, no, not as Cade Yeager, but as the $6 billion man, a sci-fi remake of a television series from 1973 to 1978. Knight has been attached to this project since April 2019, so have Paramount decided to press on without Knight because of prior commitments? We can only speculate. But is it really wise after several Transformers movies we finally get a director who gets G1 and Paramount now want to move on? There clearly is no need to rush. I'd rather wait for Knight to be available with Hodson and pair the team up once again to create some more G1 Bumblebee magic instead of taking a risk, which this is, with a new director, a new screenwriter, and get it wrong. So back to Stephen Caple Jr. Creed 2 was good, but it wasn't better than the first. He's teaming up with Joby Harold, whose previous work consists of Awake. I haven't seen it, but John Campion said it was one of the top 15 worst movies he's ever seen. Oh my! It also got a poor 24% RT score. Harold was also a producer and writer for King Arthur Legend of the Sword, another poor score, but slightly better than the 2007 Awake. King Arthur of 2017 scored an RT of 30%. I guess that's a bit better. Eesh. Not to be too negative, but his previous work isn't great. But maybe Joby has a great Transformers script up his sleeve. For Caple Jr., it's more difficult to define from his previous work. He's a young new director, much like Travis Knight, and clearly talented as he continues to build his resume. But we only have Creed 2, which was well received, and The Land of 2016 to work off. The Land scoring a respectable 70% with critics. So you have to say, for Transformers, it's a risk, much like it was in 2018 with Knight and Hodson. But as Transformers fans, do we need another Groundhog Day? If the results are the same for Paramount Pictures, then great. But if not, serious questions will have to be asked why Paramount did not secure Knight and Hodson to continue the Bumblebee franchise, as Knight has previously stated he had plans to continue the B story. So Transformers fans, what do you think of the pairing of director Stephen Caple Jr. and screenwriter Joby Harold. I want to know what you think from their previous work, but also your thoughts on the two being tasked to continue, specifically the Bumblebee universe. That's where I have my reservations. If this was an entirely new Transformers movie property, like James Vanderbilt's Beast Wars, I'd probably be excited, as we have a new director coming off the back of a couple of solid movies, looking for a big break with a big franchise just like Travis Knight. But it's not. And if this pairing doesn't work, it could ruin the remapping of Transformers which Knight created with Bumblebee, and that gives me huge concerns. If I had control at Paramount, I would have signed up Knight and Hodson the minute the first movie critic scores came out. It was a winner and I'd want them back for more, but that's just what I would have done. So, fire up your Allsparks, get involved in the comments. I can't wait to read your comments, and if you enjoyed this Transformers video, please do hit that like button, and I'll see you all in the next one.